Okay, I guess it's going now. So yeah, so far I am seeing the picture. I see two pictures. As a matter of fact, the first one that you sent was one I was considering to be the cover, but then I saw the one with basically all the HK stuff, and I thought, oh no, this has to be it.
That was the HK one was in Thailand, 1993. That's right before, no, probably 92. That was right before. That was the last Echo team of the prehistoric era, because my team broke up right after that. Everybody PCS except me, and I got all new people,
Mm-hmm.
which
So
we tried really hard to avoid doing that, but sometimes the Army PCS system just doesn't do you any favors.
well, that kind of goes with something that Pressburg was talking about too years ago. Just yeah, the Army seems to be its own worst enemy when it comes to being
Very,
effective in certain aspects.
very much so. Um, I know all former unit guys will take offense to me saying this, but like they're not supermen or super soldiers. Like they're really good at what their job is. But you know, at the SIFs, and I'm sure in the Ranger Regiment, even though I was never there, I know in uh, on the regular side of SF, like there are guys who are just absolute superstar studs who would give on an individual level would give any member of the unit a run for their money. Um, you know, maybe on one day the Delta guy would come out ahead. Maybe on another day the other guy would come out ahead. The difference, the two main differences are their worst guy is way better, like orders of magnitude better than our worst guy.
Yeah.
Because like if they have a bad guy, he doesn't last.
Yeah.
Whereas if we have a bad guy, to kick a guy out of special forces is a chore.
Hmm.
It's a chore because your command fights you all the way because they've already invested, you know, millions of dollars and years of training to get that guy to where he is. And are you sure there's not just one more thing you could try to maybe turn him into a productive member of the team? And it's like, you know, by the time I'm filling the paperwork to kick a guy out of the Army, it's like we've tried everything. Like there's nothing left. And they don't have that problem. If you don't fit, you're gone. Like that day. There's no hemming and hawing. So, you know, in that sense, they're 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 much better able to keep only the best. Whereas in every other unit, some of your guys are the best, but some of your guys aren't, and you have to do the best you can with them. And then the other thing is their team longevity. That's something I alluded to with the PCS breakup. With us, a third of our unit exchanged every year. You know, so literally every year in the summer, usually starting in June, by the end of August, sometimes early September, a third of your unit is brand new. They've just been assigned to you.
How does that work?
Not very well,
Yeah.
because usually it takes a year or two before a guy is out of school and comfortable with moving at the speed that we expect them to move at.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know what, well, I do know what all the shifts are like because I did go and grade all of them when I worked at Sephardic. Um, like we move really fast. Uh, Maybe not quite as fast as everyone from Delta does, but like my team especially, like you were expected to keep up. When I took off like a rape ape through the house, you were expected to keep up with me and do your job along the way. And getting a guy out of that safety thing at schoolhouse where there's no running in the shoot house. In real life, there absolutely is running. In fact, you should be running every time. You don't absolutely have to slow to a walk in order to either give yourself time to identify a target or to make the shot on a target, because the shot is, some order different than normal, either by distance or size of the target, cover or something.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that's done, you should be running again. And it takes a long time to work guys out of that, because they've only been told their whole career that, I don't run in the shoot house. I only walk at a controlled pace. I'm like, yeah, that's great if you're going slow in the shoot house, but we don't have that time. And
that's going to be an interesting aspect to hear some feedback on with the law enforcement listeners, because there are a couple schools of thought with literal different schools on room clearing and the speeds that people should be going and the tactics being used. I like it.
Speed. My philosophy with speed and CQB, speed doesn't come from like the quickness of the actions that you're doing. It comes from eliminating everything that's not CQB. So that movement from when I enter the breach point through the room as I'm clearing my sector of fire to get to my dominating position, like that time, the faster I can do that, the faster I've accomplished clearing the room. So if I can do that at a run, I should.
Yeah.
If I can't, I should slow to a pace that allows me to clear my sector, identify targets, and make good shots on those targets that require them, and to start giving commands on targets that don't require. If I can do that running, I should do that running. And then I get to my dominating position. The rest of my teams are in their dominating positions. We've achieved the security that we're able to in that room, and it's time to move to the next one. Why should I walk to the next door? Like, that's just wasted time. How I get fast is by eliminating all of that wasted time. So I run to the next door. By the time I get there, my flashbang's already out, or if I'm a shotgun breacher, my shotgun is already out. I've already stowed my rifle. My shotgun is ready. All I'm doing is I'm looking for the team to make sure that they're ready when I get to the door with the shotgun, so that I can breach it and get out of their way and let them in. And then they enter, I enter, and we're back to fast. And like doing all of those things and eliminating that gap between standing over there in that corner to getting to that door that needs to be breached, like that's where the speed comes from.
So if I were to restate, essentially speed comes in between the times of work. You're eliminating that gap.
Yep. And then work is done at the pace you need to do it successfully.
Yep.
And if it can be done at a run, like there's a lot of things, you come into a room, you're clearing your sector. There's a bad guy at full presentation. He's got an AK strapped to him, and he's bringing it up to the firing position. At 7 meters, I can take that shot at a dead sprint. No problem. And I'm going to get my hits. Now he's 35 meters away. He's got some intermittent cover between me and him. It's at night, uneven terrain. Yes, I'm going to have to slow down to make that shot. But if I can run and make the shot, I'm going to.
Yeah. Well, that also kind of that works with the idea of and I'm thinking law enforcement here because that's my frame of reference. Active shooter response. The more time passes, more people are killed.
More people get shot.
Absolutely. So we need to be fast, and we need to be fast to respond to if we're not creating a diversion to get or not a diversion, but if we're not pulling the attention away from the killing, so the shooter starts focusing on us, we need to be putting ourselves in a position to be doing that, if not stopping them.
Especially in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole rub on military CQB at the very beginning of GWAT, is that we had all been trained for hostage rescue. Like that was why we did CQB. You know, the idea of doing it in order to get bad guys, that was something police did. In order to, like, we don't secure buildings. Like, that's not, if you just need a building destroyed, we have JDAMs. Like, you don't send 18 guys with M4s. Like, that's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
But that's what it turned into, and learning that had to change how we entered. So that's where the combat clearing and all that stuff came from. We were so used to doing hostage rescue where speed is the most important factor to getting the hostages out alive, that like you ran at everything you did at full speed, because that's the only way to make it successful. The best on-screen real life performance of it is type Delta Force the Italian Job into the YouTube search bar and watch how fast they move from getting off the helicopters to complete saturation of the building and having guys standing in the room where the hostages are. Like, it's crazy fast. And that's how fast you have to go, because that's what prevents the bad guys from going, oh, heck, the Americans are here. We need to go kill our hostages so that they can't rescue them. Like, you don't ever give them that time to react by being faster than they are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So
we got totally off track. Like,
oh no. This is I like it. I think this is right on. I messaged you out of the blue. I had a helmet question for you, and it was talking about, okay, where do you differentiate when you're wearing the bump helmet? Yeah, there you go, versus some form of ballistic, and that's what kind of created this discussion. And you were provided so much cool info, and I said, why don't we turn this into a podcast? Because I think the stuff that's being shared, this reminds me of why we started the podcast to begin with. It's because some of these conversations behind the scenes are so cool, and there's no reason people shouldn't hear about this. So let's just do a podcast and talk about it. So here we are. So
here we are.
Here we are. So we've talked a bunch of times. You've been on the podcast a bunch of times. What's your background? When did you enlist? What were you hoping to do?
I came in the Army in 1983. I enlisted on a whim. I was working at a restaurant to get food, because if you're around the kitchen, you can oftentimes eat for free. I was in college as a full-time student, and one of the guys that I worked with needed a ride to the Army recruiter. He was not probably going to go anywhere with his life, and decided at some point that he would join the military. So I said, sure. I told the boss, hey, I'm gonna leave for a couple hours, taking Chris to go to the recruiter. Be back at 3:00 this afternoon. And in fact, I signed up. And so, like, no plan, no idea what I was doing. I signed up for the infantry. My recruiter told me a little bit of a fib, said I'd be able to go Ranger or Special Forces right from infantry basic, that they'd come in and recruit and I'd be able to go. That in fact was not the case. But I spent 4 years.
At the time, though, what was your impression of what Rangers did versus what Special Forces did?
I shot mostly shotgun stuff, mostly trap and skeet, with some guys who were Ranger Company guys in Vietnam, and a couple of SF guys in Vietnam. And so, like, that was my understanding of what they did. Rangers did deep reconnaissance patrols in small elements of Rangers, and SF did deep reconnaissance patrols across border lines, usually with 1 or 2 Americans and 6 to 10 locals. To me, that's what I knew of their operations, because that's what they talked about.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I really didn't have any idea whatsoever. So I spent 4 years in the infantry. It turned out to be a really awesome experience. We were the first at the time. Switching over to a light infantry battalion was the big push from Secretary of the Army and the DOD. And my battalion was the test battalion to do the proof of concept. And so we got access to a lot of things that most people never would in a conventional, not airborne infantry unit. Got to go to amphibious reconnaissance school, got to go to really a whole bunch of schools, too many to list. Among them, I went to a CQB course, a 4-week CQB course, taught by a bunch of Ranger Battalion guys, and what I'm now assuming were probably 2 Delta guys were there. We learned how to do CQB under NVGs, under white light at night, during the daytime, and learned a bunch of stuff. And it was all, nobody knew what a light infantry battalion could do, so teach them everything.
Cool.
And then let's see if they can go do that. So it was a really good experience.
So did that basically set you up for success to go to the next level?
In a way it did, but that was, again, happenstance. I was transitioning out of the Army. I had a couple weeks left. I'd been accepted back to college. I had told the recruiter a couple months before that the only way I'd go is if I could go to SF. That's the only way I'd stay in the Army. And at the time, SF was closed for recruitment. You couldn't join for like that couple months. And so like, well, okay, then I was in college when I came here. I'll just go back. And so I had been accepted back. And the recruiter came running into my office one day and said, SF is open, but I need to know like today, is because I was getting out of the Army in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to do the paperwork today if you want to do it. And so I did. And that became my next 18 years of being on temporary duty in Special Forces, where every enlistment was like, I'm only doing it this, and then I'm getting out. And that lasted for quite a while, much longer than I thought it would.
So what was the carrot on each step?
Not really a carrot, just curiosity. I had gone about as far as I could in the infantry. A couple of our guys had left to go to Ranger Battalion. I talked to them. That didn't really seem like where I wanted to be. Their lifestyle, I'm a lot more laid back. My privates would probably disagree, but like I was a lot more laid back than I wanted to be as a Ranger E5 or E6. And SF seemed a lot more comfortable. At that point, I'd worked with SF a couple times in Panama and Honduras. I had worked with Rangers a couple times on different exercises, and the SF guys just seemed more of it was a better fit for me.
Better fit, yeah.
So I joined, went there, got to my first team, and it was everything that could go wrong, or everything that could be bad in a peacetime Army unit was right there on that team. So I realized right away, it was like my first day, all I could think about was what a huge mistake I had made. And like at this point, I could be finishing off another semester of college on my way to a good job.
Yeah.
Luckily, that didn't last very long. I saw some guys walking through the box one day. That was our building. We called it the box because it's an old listening station, so there's no windows. Saw some guys walking through with some equipment that didn't look like the equipment that we had. I was like, who are you guys, and how do I get there?
Yeah.
They're like, we're nobody, and you don't. When it's time for you to come, you'll know. Went and did a deployment with one of their teams. Started talking to them, and it was like they were at the range a lot and shot, and I shot. I was a good shot. So that seemed like a good fit. And I didn't know what else they did, but I knew there was shooting involved, and I wanted to do that. So I started pestering their command, and about 2 years later, I got the chance to do that, and I never left.
That's cool.
Thankfully. Most of the guys that come into the program they come in for an assignment. It's a 3-year assignment. Part of which involves going to the training course. They come out of that. It's a 2-month CQB course. They come out of that, so they've got a little bit less than 3 years now at their home station, and then that's the last time they do it. I stayed the 3 years. I went to the schoolhouse. I came back to the unit. In between, I did stuff with the command to keep my feet wet, and because having looked at what everybody else in Special Forces was doing and looking at what they were doing, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I never wanted to go back.
Now, looking back on it, when you were initially in that light infantry unit and you were sent to all these different classes, how did that compare to what you wound up going through SF? Were there any parallels?
Well, the CQB, like a lot of CQB has changed pretty significantly, especially through GWAT, but a lot of it really hasn't. People misunderstand CQB, because I think partly because of the way that it's taught to them. Like in the military, everything you have to be able to define everything. Like every term that you use has to have a doctrinal definition. CQB is a technique of fire maneuver conducted in an urban space. So, if you're doing fire maneuver in the infantry in the woods, you're bounding by buddy team or by fire team. You're moving forward. Somebody picks up suppressive fire. Another team moves forward. Right. That's individual movement techniques, and your movement under fire. CQB is the same way. It's a movement technique. You're moving under fire, only now it's in an urban environment. And so that, enter and go left, right, like that hasn't changed. That's the same that I learned in 1984. You enter the room, one guy goes left, one guy goes right, one guy goes left, one guy goes right. That's never changed. Unless the room demands that you can't do that. But those basics, the interlocking sectors of fire, like that's straight out of an infantry manual. Yep. If you look at a lazy W defensive line, those interlocking sectors of fire work the exact same way that they do inside of a room, and for the same reasons, because it's effective. If you're just shooting straight in front of you and that's all you do, you're ignoring all those things off to the side that may not be of immediate effect to you. They may be affecting the person or the unit on your left and right. But hey, if that dude gets rolled up, guess what? That affects you. So you need to look over there, and you need to be able to fire in that direction, because it saves him, but saving him saves you.
Yeah. Yes, it's establishing was it positions of dominance, and it's
Yep.
yeah, you're providing advantage for yourself and your team.
Yeah. Some of the terminology has changed. Points of domination, dominating positions, fatal funnel of death. Different units use different explanations for them, but really they're all the same. Like most of those things are still the way I learned them in 1983, 1984.
Mm-hmm. So now, comparing that, what you learned initially, to what's going on now, do you see it's primarily the verbiage that's the biggest change?
The verbiage has changed. A lot of the TTMP has changed. Like the first method of entry that I learned was a high-low crisscross at the front door. So one guy's down on his knees on one side, and the other guy's up high on the other side. And when they get the signal to go, the guy that's down on his knees, he kind of crab walks into the room, and the guy that's standing up, once the guy crab walks into the room, he walks in behind him, and they go in opposite directions. Thankfully, that's gone. We didn't have sims at the time. I wish we would have, because you could have disproven it like right from the get go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had to be disproved under live fire.
Yep.
I think we were told that it was some Miami police in a drug raid that got people shot up because they got the guy trying to crab walk through the door and started shooting him, which tied him up in the doorway, which meant everybody else got tied up. So then you've got 3 or 4 people jammed in a doorway with people shooting at the doorway.
And there's no speed or surprise now.
No. And nowhere to go. If you can't go, if you can't go forward because there's a guy there, you can't go backward because there's people pushing on you from the rear, and you can't go to the left or right because you're in there's a door jam.
What about the methods of teaching? How have you seen that change?
Really, that's an individual thing.
Okay.
Because different people have different styles of teaching. I'll say I've like good and bad. My instructor at Sephardic, he's recently passed on. So I won't speak ill of him by name, but his idea of teaching CQB was that we would lay out tape house with engineer tape, and we would rehearse it until every person knew every step they were going to take in every room. And then maybe if you started at 8 o'clock in the morning, which was, when we started, maybe by 11:30, 11:45, you'd be able to get a hot run in and then go to lunch. And then you'd come back in and change the rooms up, and we'd start dry running tape again. And then maybe we'd get one hot run in before dinner.
Could this method be why so many students in the past are staring at the ground as they're entering a room versus having their eyes up?
Yes.
Because they don't want to walk through those imaginary walls.
Yes. That's a big part of it. It's also, it's just really easy to be lazy.
Yeah.
Your rifle's pointed down at the ground. There's no reason your eyes shouldn't be pointed down at the ground too, just in case.
Yeah.
Other teams, you could hear them going hot, like right from the very beginning. As a team leader, when I taught it for State Department, and when I would teach it really back to the unit, because like the purpose of Sephardic is to get all of the students to an acceptably safe level where they can integrate into a team, and then it's up to the team to teach them the specific TTMP that team uses to conduct operations. Right? They're not trying to teach you everything.
Yeah.
Because it's an 8-week school, and to teach you everything would be way longer than 8 weeks. That one of the benefits is that the Army will take time to teach you something, but they figured 8 weeks was enough to get you safe, and we'll let your team handle the rest. So that was a big part of like my job as an assault team leader, was taking guys out of the course and decoursing them to get them to work the way that we worked, which was go faster, shoot faster, and you need to shoot way better. Like, you're not shooting good enough. So I was the best shot in my Sephardic class. They're like, yeah, you don't shoot good enough. Sorry. The standards are much higher here than they were there. But like my teaching, and especially at State Department, when I was in charge of the training teams, I would tell instructors, like, correct one thing. If you can't find something life-threatening to correct, then just say good job. Like, if somebody screwed something up so badly that it would get them killed, then correct that one thing. And each instructor that's watching, whether it's 2 or 3 instructors, each of you gets one thing. Then send them out and have them immediately come again. And if it's okay, like if nothing was immediate, like if that would not have got them killed on an operation, let them keep doing it. Let them keep doing it as many times until we run out of ammo. If we run out of ammo, we'll find a way to get more. Because something I learned at the Rogers shooting school, you don't learn by listening to someone else talk about doing. You learn by doing yourself. And the analogy that Bill Rogers used at his school was, you have to swing at a fastball to be able to hit a fastball.
Yeah.
And in CQB, that means you need to make entry with live fire at full speed, and you need to be shooting targets. Not step, pause, not we're going to do sims all day. That's not how you learn. You learn by going at full speed, shooting real bullets, that's how you learn what your teammates can do and can't do. That's how you learn what you can do and can't do. That's how you learn to get over the fear of the loud noises in the room with you. Is you have to have that stuff. And if you don't do it, you're doing your students a disservice. If you talk to them for 45 minutes, especially in State Department, we're teaching foreign police, so they don't understand us anyway. That 45-minute speech about, approaching the fatal funnel, he maybe got 5 words out of it, and the rest of that was for you, not for the student. So, hey, when you come up here, you need to have your gun pointed at the doorway. Don't point it down at the ground. Point at the door. Okay, ready, go. And send them in. And if you do that enough, all of those things that you want them to pick up, they'll pick up. They'll just sort of, one day they'll be at a position where they're ready to receive it, and they'll get it. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell it to them before. If they're not ready to receive it because of their own learning, they're not ready, and they're not going to. And it doesn't matter what you tell them, you're never going to transfer that knowledge.
Absolutely. Case in point that I've seen is conducting some form of active shooter training. And if someone is not familiar with how their weapon functions, or if they can't clear malfunctions, you know what?
Or they don't know where their magazine is. How do they reload?
It's oriented in the wrong direction. Wait, what? Yeah. Yeah.
We had at Sephardic, we had a really good facility. It's even more amazing now, but for its time, all of the time for its time, it's as good a training facility as you're going to get. And we hosted every FBI team on the East Coast, including HRT. We hosted, Delta was there at least once a week. There's at least an assault team, if not a troop or bigger, using our range. Rangers come up and use it. When we kicked them out, didn't allow them to use it for quite a while, but then they came back. Other military units, a lot of local and any local police department that was within driving distance would come. The one caveat to allowing them to use our range is they had to do our shooting test.
Oh, cool.
They didn't have to pass it, but they had to do it.
Oh, I like that.
Whoever their command was had to say that this is acceptable for my team, and I will accept risk of them doing live fire CQB. In the 4 years, never had a police officer pass it to student standard. And most of it was, and this was including HRT, none of their guys passed. Most of it was unfamiliarity with equipment, unfamiliar with their weapon, and inability to, they don't trust themselves to take hard shots. And the test is set up in such a way that, like, some of the shots are not easy, and you think you'll be able to maneuver on the target to make it an easier shot, and in fact you can't. So that, partial target that you see at 35 meters, that when you're moving, like, that's the only view you have of it. So if you don't take it when you see the partial, you're never going to get bullets on it, and so those those aren't going to score, and it's on purpose.
I know my late brother-in-law, who's in 19th, always talked about going to Sephardic, and just seemed to eat it up.
It was a very good school.
Yeah.
It was a good school when I went. It was a good but different school when I was an instructor. It was a good but different school when I was coming back still in the Army. A good but different school the times I visited as a retired guy.
So you're saying good but different. Is that just due to the personnel and the way they would instruct, or what were the differences?
The different command emphasis, different. During GWAT, the mission changed. Hostage rescue was no longer the be all end all. There was a lot more what we used to call killer capture missions, counter leadership. A lot more seizing terrain or going for equipment. The whole idea of running through like your hair's on fire to get to the last room before the bad guys kill the hostage, that was gone, because that's not what guys were doing.
But did you see that paralleling, and it made sense with the reality of what the modern battlefield needed?
In a sense, yes, but in a sense, no. Because what you ended up with was a whole generation of guys who didn't have the ability to go to that level of speed when required, because they'd never done it, they'd never seen it, no one had ever taught them how to do it, and there was no one around with experience to teach them how to do it.
Well, it's just like what you were saying about being in the shoot house, and unless you do it, you're not going to know how to do that. And if you want to hit the fastball, you're not going to be able to do it unless you swing at the fastball.
Unless you have a pitcher that can throw a fastball at you.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen it, you don't know that it exists.
Yeah.
And so when it became necessary, like, that skill was lacking. Like there was a reach out. A friend of mine went back as the first sergeant major at the course, and like we talked several times when he first got there about how to refocus. It's like, if you can go fast, you can slow down if someone teaches you to go slow. But if you go slow, you can't necessarily go fast, because they're like, shooting on the run is different than shooting at the Groucho Marx slow walk.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
But also, you know, equipment had changed considerably. You know, the greatest thing about GWatt, probably one of the two good things was that, you know, our equipment changed so dramatically in those years, but you know, more so than it had changed from the end of World War II to the beginning of it. The equipment had changed. The evolution of gear was just unreal. And the amount of money available, that was the good thing about being in the SIFs, was we always had money even when the rest of SF did not. But you know, when they turned on even more money, like that just allows you to train. It it it's kind of hard to explain. I would see guys on the white side. It's like, why aren't you guys doing this? I'm like, because we can't. Like, how could we possibly do that? Like, we don't have the ability to train to do it. I'm like, well, just go to the range. And it's like, to me, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I need 20 cars to work on breaking windows out so that every one of my guys can go through breaking the windows and pulling somebody out of a car. Okay, go buy 20 cars. I'm like, well, why can't you guys do that? I was like, are you insane? Like, we can't go buy 20 cars. That's not, that'll never happen.
So late 90s.
Yeah.
So this parallels perfectly with Chuck Pressburg's stories of finger guns and
Yep.
their training with finger guns, essentially. And here you are with
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we're drawing, you know, 300,000 plus 9 mil for 18 of us every 17 weeks.
Well, with that comp Beretta, it happens.
Well, I was the only one with the comp, which that leads back to equipment.
Yeah.
So I spent almost from when I got there until I retired, I was part of what was the SPM&E, the Special Projects Munitions and Equipment, or Munitions and Explosives, and then later we added equipment. So I was part of. We had a guy from each SIF and a couple guys from JSOC, and every year we would meet and we would talk about weapons. You know, what weapons for what roles, what ammunition to go with what weapon. What density do we need these weapons? What density do we need the ammunition? You know, does a guy need when the 77 grain first came out? It's like, does a guy need 77 grain ammunition to do up drills on the range, or can we order 55 grain ball and have them do up drills? And it's like, well, we don't want to waste the 77 grain, except that if you don't put a high volume of it through your weapon every once in a while, you don't know if it's going to work all the time.
Yeah.
If it's, you know, single shot for the snipers, that's one thing. You can single shot, you know, an M16 style gun, but if the assaulters are going to be carrying it, they need it in sufficient volume to be able to practice with it, so that they know that it works and they have confidence in its ability to hit what they're aiming at, but also to function in their weapon and not cause a problem.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, for every weapon, for every mission, for every role that we could define, that was part of it. And then also, you know, different types of explosives, and then that morphed into the equipment, starting with radios and night vision gear. And then it just sort of, like, everything that was different that Delta had, it was, you know, do we also need to provide it to the SIFs? If so, in what numbers? Or does one SIF need it, but one SIF doesn't, because of different, you know, theater requirements?
Yeah.
So, being involved with that, I saw a lot more of how the evolution worked from the big Army side, because like that was one of the things. At the beginning when I first got there, we just bought stuff. If we needed breaching shotguns, we sent a guy back to Hawaii with a credit card, buy a bunch of shotguns, and then take them over to the Marine base and have the Marines ship them over here.
Mm-hmm.
And that turns out that's not the best way to do it, because when those shotguns break, there's no support package, there's no maintenance. The Army looks at those as like, we can't fix those, they don't belong to us. But if you get your rifles through some sort of military program, there's intermittent replacement. Every 3 years they start replacing, so that every 5 years you have total replacement. You get periodic maintenance and all the other stuff that comes with it. So that was one of the things that program brought to us. But being able to see how the evolution, just in the bullets that we carried, how fast they changed. And I need a bullet that can do this. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's start researching what bullets are able to do that. Okay, now how do we get it? How do we get it in sufficient quantity?
That's cool stuff. Well, and you brought up, buying the random shotguns. What was it? I attended a Mossberg event a year and a half ago, and it was cool to talk to them about some of the military things, and some of the special projects and various things. And I think they're common knowledge now, but it was just interesting to hear about these programs and comparing that to how you just described. Yeah, we're just going to go and buy a bunch of them, ship them. We're good.
Yeah, we at one point we sent a message back because we couldn't send someone to go buy them. So we sent a message back to our command, please have someone go buy 5 shotguns. And they sent us like presentation grade Remington 1100s with gold scroll inlay,
Nice.
gold triggers, gold stuff. And I was like, I opened the box and I looked at them and I'm like, that's great and everything, but I need breaching shotguns.
Yeah. Spray paint that real quick. Take a
And,
hacksaw to it.
So, we sent them to Sage International to have them bead blasted and parkerized and chopped down into shorty 1100s. And when he opened the box, he called and he was like, "Are you certain?"
Yeah.
Like, yep. Sorry.
Well, that's somewhat reminiscent. Also, again, another Pressburg story when he was carrying, what were they, 40 caliber STIs, and essentially they had a traveling minstrel of armorers just for those handguns. Talk about support.
Yeah. Luckily, they have it. They have a good set of gunsmiths available to them. At our unit, that was me and a couple other guys who went to gunsmithing school.
That sounds
we were
fun.
the ones. It was fun, and it was good learning. But that was part of my nighttime job, was working on guns, because especially back when we had the old 1911s. Keeping all of those things up and running was its own full-time job.
Yeah.
Along with my other full-time jobs. But
So
when you're 25, you can do all that stuff.
Oh, heck yeah. You don't need sleep.
No.
So one of the things that we started talking about was the helmet aspect, and going from having the ballistic available, and then the bike helmet, essentially, or the skate helmet.
Yep.
And how that evolved to where we're at now.
So originally, like we had I don't know what it stands for. Something, the PASGT helmet was the original Kevlar helmet issued to the Army in the early 80s. We had it as well. What we found was trauma to the head was actually worse if you were wearing that helmet. The way that its suspension system, and I don't have one to show, but there was something about its suspension system that if you took a serious blow to the head, it was going to transmit all of that force straight to your skull. And the hard side of the Kevlar was going to push in on your skull, and you were going to get a larger skull fracture than you probably otherwise would have. That and our comms wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
The comms that we had at the time,
Night
this is
vision.
before slimline Peltors existed.
Yeah.
So you had the big ones, and they just didn't fit underneath that helmet. So we ended up going with skateboard helmets with Protex. I had a hockey helmet. A couple of other guys had hockey helmets. I had a Protec as well, but mostly what I wore was my hockey helmet. And then our combo guys, I wish I had, I've got one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I don't know what box it's in. But we, just like these, you just cut the plastic. We'd rivet the holder, the hanger for your earmuffs, and then your boom mic on whatever side on one of your earmuffs. We would just rivet that right to the side, rivet your night vision mount onto it, and it was good to go. So everything was built into your Protec. And we wore those for quite a while. Everybody in the community knew of the problem. It was, if they're shooting at us, the Protec really doesn't offer any protection, like not even the idea of protection. The little known thing was neither did the parachutist ground troop helmet. We took, I think, 10 of them out to the range because we had to convince our command that downgrading to a plastic helmet wasn't really a downgrade. And so we shot them with everything we had from various ranges, and they didn't stop any bullets.
BB guns.
We didn't have BB guns, but 9mm, 45, 5.56, 7.62, and 12 gauge. They didn't stop anything. Not from, at 50 meters, it would not stop a 9mm round. So, in that sense, downgrading to a plastic helmet wasn't as much of a downgrade as people thought. But we wore those for quite a while, knowing the lack of ballistic protection. But we weren't really, you didn't want to get shot in the head, but there wasn't really the shrapnel threat like what that helmet was designed to protect from. It was designed for ground troops fighting in the Fulda Gap against the Russians, who have artillery saturation. So it was designed to stop low velocity fragmentation, not high velocity bullets.
Yeah.
We weren't facing that threat at the time, so it wasn't a worry to us. I was more worried about the building collapsing, or the off chance that someone gets a lucky shot and hits one of us in the head. Unfortunately, that's what happened in Somalia. A guy did get hit in his Protec. And that really drove the look for something to replace it with. I left my unit in December of '93. Went to language school, and then about a year after that, I showed up at Sephardic, and we had the high cut CGF Gallet helmets. That's the helmet I'm wearing in one of the pictures that I sent you.
Okay.
It's a good helmet. It's heavy. It does offer really good ballistic protection. It has a pretty decent suspension system in it, but it's ungodly heavy.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can pull one of them up. Maybe. Be nice if my computer cooperated with me.
I'd help you, but mine would be even worse.
Okay, so I have two pictures. One where it appears that you're loading a rifle.
Yep.
Is that the one? And there's
Either of
one.
them. It's just same helmet in both.
Oh, okay. I'll start with the other one then. So. Of course, my computer doesn't want to cooperate with me.
So that helmet actually saved my life. I got a pretty serious concussion, but didn't die, which is always a benefit. We were doing breacher training, and I personally was very against explosive breaching charges that did limited things to move the door out of the way. So if all a charge did was attack the locking mechanism, I'd rather have a charge that cut the whole door. Just in case that, the locking mechanism that you're cutting isn't the only thing holding the door in place.
Mm-hmm.
So they put what's called a GP charge, which is a really large chunk of explosive, and you put it right next to the doorknob and fire it off, which works okay, like for jail cell doors and some other things, but like for a standard door, it's not what you use. Well, it launched this doorknob at just short of the speed of light through the shoot house.
Yeah.
And we were 4 or 5 rooms back down the hallway. And I swear in my mind, I can see this doorknob ricocheting and coming at me. And it hit me square in the top of my head.
Yeah.
On the helmet. And it crushed the front of the helmet. Like it left a fist-sized divot in it and pushed that into my head, which knocked me out, but didn't kill me.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. I know if I'd been wearing anything else that was available to us at the time, I don't think I'd have done so well.
So I just brought up the other picture.
Yep. I wish I still had that helmet. Unfortunately, I had to turn it in to get another one.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was custom fit to you too. Now that you have that indentation in your head,
it fit perfect.
Yeah,
for me and no one else but me.
Yep. So, question for you: with this specific picture, it appears that you have a rifle in your hand.
Yep.
And there's a weird thing on the very top. It almost looks like a RMR.
No, that is a very old EOTech holosight where you could change out the reticle, and that reticle that has a 1 minute dot reticle in it instead of the circle dot.
So that's the battery compartment there.
Yep.
In front. Okay, because it almost looked like this right here is just a reflex with something right there. But I see that now. What you're saying.
Yep, that is the original original release of the EOTech holocyte. We were the testing location for the Shop Mod Block 1. So a couple of the instructors, I was not involved in the test, but a couple of the instructors were. And so we saw everything that went through. And almost all of us bought holocytes. The Aimpoint Comp M was the site that ended up winning against all of our recommendation. But all of us bought holocytes. Nobody bought an Aimpoint. Everybody bought an EOTech.
About what year was this?
This would have been 1990, 95 or 96. I got that. I bought that Holotech from Kyle Lamb along with the 1 minute dot. He told me, you'll like this much better. I said, okay. And I did. I actually have a couple T-Rex Arms sells an EXPS3 with only a 1 minute dot.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of those, and I prefer them very much over the circle dot.
So speaking of which, that's another thing that progressed during your career.
Yeah, hugely.
Yeah.
Hugely. I'll come back to the site because I want to go back to the helmet.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right about that time, I started going over to Delta as an observer at their training course. So I worked every other day at Sephardic, every other day at their operator training course. And when I went through and got my equipment issue, one of the things they issued me was a brand new Mitch helmet. As part of the Mitch helmet test. This is before they were issued out around SF and to everybody else. And it's got the 3-point hookup in the back instead of what they ended up going with was like an H harness.
Yeah.
Because they said it was more stable for parachuting. I don't know. I got about 100 jumps on this thing, never had a problem. I didn't steal it when I left. They told me to keep it in case anyone wants to come get it. But aside from it offered better ballistic protection than the Gallet did. It weighs probably half as much, and then it doesn't have a suspension system. It's got the foam pads, and what we ended up finding out was like these foam pads protect you so much better from impact. So we finally got the helmet we wanted.
Yeah.
The only issue was the extended earlobes. For some of the comms it worked, for some of them it wouldn't fit. And so it wasn't until a couple years later, a couple guys tried to cut them. These helmets didn't cut very well. But a couple years later, the high cut ops course started coming out, and that was finally like the helmet we really wanted all along. With the best of every world.
Yeah, I remember one of the things you said was the only time then, once you have the new stuff, that you'd actually go with that bicycle helmet was for water ops.
Yep, doing water jumps. Because you don't want to. I don't want to swim with that thing on my head.
Yeah.
Because it's still heavier than a plastic helmet.
Yeah.
And I was a very good swimmer. Still am. Not everyone in SF can swim, but it's to varying degrees. Not everyone is comfortable, and when you put, when you're in the ocean, the parachute is trying to drag you down to the bottom of the ocean, and you're in full, all of your stuff. Every little bit of extra weight is another opportunity for something to go wrong. Your parachute, when it fills up with water, it becomes an anchor pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
I can imagine. And I imagine being of a younger age, and they're all in probably the best condition they've ever been. They're probably not that buoyant.
No, not that buoyant at all.
No.
Except usually your team sergeants and warrant officers. They're usually pretty buoyant.
So if you start going down, just grab them. They're your.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're your life preserver.
That will go over really well, I'm sure, too.
Yep. So red dots, we used to go back from our unit to work with Delta once a year. And the first time I did I got there in 1990. So it was either the summer of 1990 or the summer of 1991. I don't remember, was the first time I saw a red dot on a rifle. I had used an Armson OEG before, but on a shotgun. And I knew intellectually that they had been used during Sante, but for some reason it never made the switch in my head to try one on my rifle and see what it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw, I can't remember the model number. I think 8.9,000, like 8.2,000. I don't know. Long, skinny aim point.
Yeah.
On almost all the rifles that the guys had. It was like, what is this? What does it do? Why do you have it? Because it's one of the first things you learn being around them is that nothing is a mistake. Like everything has been thought through, usually by more than one person. And if you see a couple people doing something, it's very much on purpose. So I saw them on all the rifles. It was like, why? What advantage does this give? It's like, it's faster under every condition, allows you to be more accurate. Everything we know now about red dots. So I went to whatever the store was outside of Fort Bragg, and I bought all the red dots that they had, which they were all Tasco Pro Points. I think I bought 8 of them.
Do you remember how much they were?
No, not much. I was a poor E6 living in the barracks at the time, so probably $125, something like that. But I bought all of those, put one on my rifle immediately, zeroed it, and from then on, all of my rifles had one. The Tasco wasn't that good of a sight, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
And I always had a box of, 6 or 8 or 10 that was in my gear that if one of them failed, I could replace it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're on my MP5, they're on my Car 15, and anything I was going to shoot as a long gun had a red dot on it. I heard, and it's funny, I'm sure all the old guys that were around for the transition to red dots on rifles, all of the arguments, batteries are going to fail.
Yep. EMP.
It's not going to turn on. You're going to forget to turn it on when you need it. You're going to drop it. It's going to break. Electronics are always going to fail at the moment when you need them the most. Your iron sights are more reliable, just as accurate. Like, none of those things were true for rifle. When I saw red dots on pistols at a NRA match, I was like, we have to find a way to transition these over to put red dots on our work guns.
Yeah.
I'm outside of USPSA. I want to say I probably had one of the first red dots on a pistol. Merle Eddington worked with us at Sephardic. He was a Sephardic instructor, and he had gone over to England for the World Shoot and brought back. I don't remember who made them. But they became the Dr. Optic.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Miopta, one of the little small mini red dots.
Doctor was a huge one back then. Yeah.
It wasn't called the Dr. Optic yet, but I think Dr. Optic bought them out from whoever was originally making them. But Merle brought some of those back, and we started experimenting with ways to mount them onto our guns. It never worked just because the mounting system wasn't rugged enough.
Yeah.
It was you had to drift out the rear sight and put basically a plate with 2 screw holes in, and then you screwed the sight down into that. And so it sat up above the slide on top of that plate, and so any movement would just shear it right off.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw a red dot on a duty gun was in 1999, and a deputy who was heavy into competition had it as his duty gun. And I thought, this is amazing. Where can I get one?
Yep. And except that the batteries are always going to fail when you need them. They're going to break when you drop them. You'll forget to turn it on. Your iron sights are more reliable and more accurate. I'm still amazed that I still hear that about pistols.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we had this fight in the early 90s, and iron sights lost.
Yeah.
Like that's why there is no modern battle rifle in the world that relies primarily on iron sights, because we know they're not as good.
Yeah.
Why do you think they'd be as good or better on a pistol?
Because this is how we've always done it.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. But that being said, there's still a place for irons. I still enjoy them on occasion. Here, as a matter of fact,
I do. I still I still shoot them. I don't shoot them as well as I used to.
Yeah.
I probably do now, because now that I've had eye surgery.
Now you can see.
I had total lens replacement on both eyes.
Oh, my dad just did that. He wore glasses for his entire life, did this, and it's weird now seeing him without glasses.
Yep.
He loves it. Absolutely. And he said it's weird because he's so used to having something blocking the wind and rain and things, but he absolutely loves it. Wishes he did it before or earlier.
I didn't wear glasses, then I did, then I didn't, then I did, and now I don't again. So
yeah. But do you overall see better than you ever have?
No, I actually saw better right after PRK.
Okay.
So that was another benefit of me going over to Delta. They brought PRK to the Army.
Oh.
PRK was originally a Navy program. They were doing it for fighter pilots, because you can't become a pilot if you need glasses. But if you are a pilot and then one day develop the need for glasses, you can get corrective surgery.
Interesting.
And what they determined was that because of the forces that are applied during ejection, that PRK was the best system available at the time for correcting vision. Someone from Bragg heard about it. As the story was relayed to me, they sent some guys to San Diego to investigate, and they said, we want to buy 2 machines and we want to get 2 doctors and put them into training. Who do we talk to? And the guy was like, you don't understand, these machines are really expensive. And I'm like, I think we can afford it. And it's like, no, they're really expensive. And he's like, we're buying 2. Like, who do I write the check to?
Yeah.
and they did, and they brought him back to Bragg, and I was not one of the first, but I was in the first group of people.
Cool.
Because the guy saw me putting glasses on to shoot, and because I didn't wear them normally, and the guy saw me put glasses on to shoot, and he says, "How bad is your vision?" I said, 20/35, which is not bad enough to need correction all of the time. But like when I was shooting we were shooting the M4s or I don't think they were M4s at the time. I think they were Car 15s or maybe M4s. Anyway, we were shooting those at 100 yards. And so for that, I put on glasses. And he's like, "Hey, we got this new thing. You want to get involved?" And I was like, "Sure." And I went in, and the doctor was I was the lowest, the person with the best vision, so the lowest setting on the machine, because I was technically outside the limits of what they were prepared to do, but they wanted to see how it would work. So they corrected my vision, and I had 20/15 overall, 20/15 in one eye, 20/10 in the other eye.
Cool.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Heck yeah.
Until one of the warnings that they gave was that when it fails, it's going to fail fast. As your presbyopia, what you get as you turn older. They said it will come faster than normal, and it will come with a vengeance. And it did. I went to bed able to see. I woke up and I could not see.
Oh, wow.
Like it was that fast.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
This is after I retired, so probably 2007 or 8.
Okay.
So I had about 10 years of really, really good vision.
And when did you get your lens replacement?
I got that 4 or 5 years ago when I first got to Thailand on my last contract.
And that's cool.
It's
modern technology.
It's the best money I've ever spent on myself, and I've spent a lot of money on myself. If go to Thailand and get it done.
So go to Mexico for certain things. Go to Thailand for eyes.
It was $6,000. You
Per
need to stay
or
there.
total?
Total.
Oh, wow.
You need to stay there for about 10 days. Most of the pre-work can be done at home. Most of the after work can be done at home. But the doctor's going to want you there for about 10 days. So you need a place to stay and the money to do it. You get 2, depending on the hospital you go to, they'll use Zeiss lenses or one of the other major manufacturers of multifocal lenses. It's multifocal in both eyes, so I can read fine, I can see at distance fine, I can see medium fine.
Yeah.
And I will for the rest of my life. I will never require glasses again. But if some newfangled high technology lens that's got some super whiz bang thing in it, they can pull them out and dink, put them right back in.
And within the next 5 years, we'll see.
It was the change was instant. Like they pulled the lens out, and like I was completely blind, and he put the new one in, and I could see. Like that's how fast it was.
Yeah, my dad just absolutely. I wouldn't say he was bragging. He was in such amazement with how this worked, how the multifocal whatever works. So much of this, he's just amazed, and it was so cool to hear him talk about it.
Aside from being able to see, the coolest thing is colors.
Are you colorblind? Or were you?
You don't realize it, but
that's right. Yes.
Your lens in your eye turns yellow as you age.
Yeah.
So it blocks the light transmission, which affects how you see color.
Yep.
Now I have, crystal clear glass lenses that allow 100% a light transmission.
Yep.
One thing, I have much better night vision than I did. But
yeah.
I also see colors like vividly and brightly, and like a baby does, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I remember he said something about walls being much wider than he remembers.
Yep.
Like, yeah, makes sense. That's awesome. That's awesome. One of the things you brought up in the message was what you had to do with armor.
Oh yes, our old body armor. So initially we had two different sets of body armor that we could wear, and one, I'm wearing it in your cover picture, was our concealed body armor. And that's just like a Safariland concealed level 3 alpha body armor with a trauma plate.
Yeah.
A hard, it is a rifle rated plate, but it's like, the size of a IPSC A zone. The other one was this great big behemoth that was a steel plate that was covered with little ceramic squares. And it was so wide when I put it on, it was so wide at the shoulder. I mean, I'm 5'8", and as an assaulter, I weighed about 150 pounds, maybe 155 on a really good day. That thing came so far out in my shoulders, I couldn't get my hands together. So there's like no way for me to get a firing grip on a pistol, because I'd be like that. And so you had to cut it with a set of bolt cutters and cut around where the ceramic was, because we didn't have ceramic cutters to cut those. So you cut it to wherever was comfortable, and then ground it smooth and 100-mile-an-hour tape the ceramic back onto it.
Then fast forward, what was the next step after that?
I don't remember. We got some pretty decent plates, but they were heavy. About the time that RBR came out, about the time that the Rangers got RBR, we got something else that was pretty good. In 2002, maybe, we got the Paraclete releasable body armor, and that was amazing.
Now, what made it amazing? Being lighter, breathable, better coverage?
More comfortable, being able to ditch it. Because I worked in Asia, a lot of my stuff was over water.
Yeah.
So like when you're doing the ditch exercise and the little helicopter thing that turns upside down in the swimming pool, like being able to get out of your gear is important.
Yeah.
So having armor that helped with that. Plus, it was always hilarious to run by someone in the shoot house and grab the pull handle and relieve them of it. And the hard plates were better, lighter, and had better coverage. They had better protection. They were 3+ for multiple hit for 5.56, which we didn't have. We either had level 3 or level 4. You could decide which one you wanted.
Yep.
But getting the multi-hit plates that were lighter was that was a biggie. I got to take like a 2-minute break.
As a matter of fact, if you want, we're at an hour and a half. We can call it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. This has been a fire hose of cool information.
And not too many stories.
That's true.
Just one about the doorknob.
Yeah. But I don't know about you. I enjoyed listening. I don't think you're listening to yourself. I'm listening to this. I'm really enjoying this. I could see this starting something where other people will listen and go, oh, I want to be on the next one so we can talk about this, or hey, get Kurt back so we can talk about this specific thing. Because hearing this kind of stuff is cool, because the best part is to know where we've been, to understand where we're going, and also so we don't repeat past mistakes.
Yep. I concur.
Appreciate your time. And
my
your
pleasure.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything like that?
PNS, like, subscribe, join the site.
That works. Yeah, this was kind of a spur of the moment episode. And one of the things Kurt brought up is, well, if we don't have enough panel, maybe we can give it another week. I thought, you know what? We don't need more people. This is just going to be cool to hear your perspective on stuff. And you haven't been on much recently. I took off a couple weeks too, or a couple months too. But yeah, it was good talking to you.
It was good to see you again.
Yeah. I'll just do my quick little final whatevers. Big thank you to Kurt. He's been on multiple times. Always a pleasure to have him. The way we met was he had a really cool Beretta, and he posted a picture of it, and that started a conversation. And he also somehow he was already familiar with primary and secondary, because I think I wanted him to be on a podcast or something.
I was already watching all your podcasts.
Yeah. And how many of the people that were on did you already know?
I knew some of them by name, but hadn't met, like Steve. I mean, Steve Fisher, I'd heard of him, obviously. Yeah. Craig Douglas, I heard of him, obviously. A lot of the others I had heard of, but hadn't met.
I was just talking to Brian with the Y last night, Eastridge, and he was telling me a funny story about how he knew you from before, and he then realized, oh, I already know you. That's just insane.
Wait, I know that guy.
Yeah. Oh, I do have one last question before we do officially end. What is with SF guys, commandos, being under 6 feet tall?
Speed
Fast,
of movement.
Strong. Yeah.
So if you look at cornerbacks and safeties, most of them are not 6 feet tall, because we can change direction faster.
Yeah.
I can lower my hips and change direction much faster than a guy that's 6'4" can.
Yeah.
Most are not. They're heavier now than they were in my day, because we just didn't have access to the calories.
Okay.
But yeah, quickness is like one of the most important attributes you can have.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law, he was 5'8", 5'9", I don't remember. But yeah, he wasn't, he was a larger guy, but just not a very tall guy.
Yeah, we had some big muscular guys. They just usually didn't fare very well.
Yeah.
As soon as the food gets scarce, they have problems.
I know how that is.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Thanks
Good talking to you. I
you
have
too.
To run.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. My pleasure. Take care.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
So big thank you to Kurt, you, the listener, the viewer. Also, big thank you to the Patreon subscribers. If you go to patreon.com/primary and secondary, you can help support the network. There are different tiers. Additionally, if you go to primaryandsecondary.com, I have a bunch of articles that I've written. Some also buddies have been writing on there. There happens to be a forum attached to that. So primaryandsecondary.com/forum. And right there, it's an old school forum. It's kind of being used as somewhat of a backup to all of our Facebook. Because, there's a possibility Facebook is going to remove us off of social media, off their platform. We're talking about guns. They're scary. If you aren't part of the Facebook groups, let's see here. What do I even have it called? P&S - primary and secondary is my main group. And that's an actual discussion group. It is as active as you want to be. There are a lot of industry people. There are a lot of military, law enforcement, responsible gun owners, some amazing competitors. You bring up the questions, we'll provide the answers. Awesome interactions there, awesome community. I also have primary and secondary LLC is the page. That's where I post a lot of stuff. Not as much discussion there, but if you join that group, the P&S hyphen primary and secondary, that's our main group there. And there are all a lot of little splinter groups off that cover different topics. That really gets you in touch with the community. This is, it's through those two areas also, the page and the group. That's where I'm sending out the invitation, or not the invitations, the announcements of these. So the announcement for this came out a couple hours prior to actually doing the episode. So have this old school forum that is there in case Facebook decides to remove us. You can find us on the website, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on X, and there's a lot of cross pollination. There's a lot of cross sharing on there. There are, through primary secondary, lots of opportunities to interact with some wonderful, wonderful people. Big thanks to the sponsor. Sponsor is High Desert Cartridge. Basically, what High Desert does specifically for me is, and of course, I'm saying that as I don't have a revolver immediately in front of me, they're all behind me. I put them back on my wall. For my revolvers or for specialty cartridges, I'm going through High Desert. Basically, what I found, and this is through doing a bunch of podcasts on this topic. This is talking to all my subject matter expert buddies who are on the podcasts regularly. When I'm dealing with my snubbies, I am a big fan of wad cutters. They shoot to sights. Their terminal performance is what I want. They also, they're easier to shoot than your traditional jacketed hollow points. Matter of fact, I guess I can take these off now. Shooting a snubby with a jacketed hollow point, you might not have sufficient velocity to get that expansion. Well, with a wad cutter, you don't need that expansion. It's basically cutting out a nice cookie cutter hole. High Desert is the source for all my wad cutters. They're my source for if I want any 44 special, 44 mag, 357. They have all kinds of ammunition available. The reason I like them so much is it's available, it's affordable, and it works. So big thanks to High Desert Cartridge. Even before they were a sponsor, I'm already a fan. And it's funny, I'm scanning because I was changing out various stocks and grips on some of these guns. But I had also had a bunch of speed loaders and things set up. Oh well. But thanks for listening or watching. This was a fun one. Don't be surprised if we have another similar episode, getting someone else to talk about their firsthand experience with this. Again, it's important to recognize where we've been, and a lot of what he was talking about, I can track it through other conversations I've had, whether it's on the podcast in person or phone conversations with buddies. It's just fascinating to understand where we've been, why we were where we were at, why specific decisions were made when they were, and to now look at what we have now. And I've said this before, right now we live in an amazing time where there are so many amazing options available for firearms, for equipment, for ammunition, you name it. We have amazing options. And right now, the biggest thing to do is find whatever option you think is going to work best for you. Get some training and practice. Get that dry fire in, and you are the solution of the problem, not whatever weapon you choose. You ultimately are going to be that solution. So go get some training, maintain that training, and don't overly rely on the tangible things. Rely on the intangible. Rely on the skill sets, the mindsets, and that training. So that is all. I will kill the feed now, and I will talk to you later.